Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked, and today I'm doing a discussion over Detective Saints and Sinners. This is the newest expansion to Detective City of Angels. And yeah, it's 3 new cases, so there you go. That's it everyone, so I hope you enjoyed. Obviously I'm kidding. This is kind of it's an interesting review that I'm going to do because obviously I'm not going to go into the nitty-gritty of the cases because that would just ruin the whodunit mystery. And so these kinds of expansions it's kind of like, well, why am I doing a review over it? Because basically the short of it is, do you like Detective City of Angels? Yes? Get it. That's it. That's it. Like, it's 3 new cases to a fantastic game. Detective City of Angels is one of my favorite in the whodunit genre because it's the only one that I'm aware of anyway that is competitive. By design, it is a competitive game where one person plays the chiseled, which is kind of a DM. They're more of a game manager because they don't act out. They don't really do a whole lot except actually compete against the players while the players are competing against them, each other. You're all, beat, homicide detectives that are doing whatever you can to get your scoop and get the answer. Not scoop because that'd be like a reporter. To get your the case solved. And I have done a run through and review over the original way to play the game with the chiseled, and I've also done it for I think it's called the sleuth mode, which is where it's fully cooperative. But in this discussion, I'm also going to talk about the expansion, which is mainly giving me an excuse to talk about the other way to play detective, which I had never played before until recently, which is their head-to-head mode. Because this game has had 2 expansions previously for it. It had Smoke and Mirrors and Bullets Over Hollywood. And those added new cases as well. Saints and Sinners gave 3, although I think there was some weird confusion about this one. I think there was a case called Cloak and Dagger, which was kind of its standalone case, but it's included in this. So I remember seeing something about that, but at the end of the day, this comes with 3 new cases. So let's talk about this one first, because this is going to give me an excuse to kind of talk about Detective City of Angels. Yeah, it's 3 new cases, and they are all of the same difficulty. They are all veteran difficulty, so there's no gumshoe, and I don't think there's a hard-boiled one. I'm pretty sure they are all veteran. Yes. I'm taking a look. Yeah, there's Cloak and Dagger, Blast from the Past, and I guess I am gonna have to look up some stuff. And this box is packed because I have somehow managed to fit everything in here. But yeah, like I didn't do a review over those other 2 expansions because it's like, well, what am I gonna say that besides, more cases? No, it's more of the same. You like it, then get it. One last hit for the Hitman. Oh no, that is Gumshoe. Okay. Well, what's weird, so there's a misprint, because in the chiseled book, it says veteran. But I guess in the other books, it says Gumshoe. So there is a Gumshoe, which is the easiest case to solve, and then the other 2 are veterans, which is kind of weird. Like, if you're going to do 3 cases, I almost feel like you should do an easy, medium, and a hard, but who knows. Now here, I love this game. So if you love City of Angels, then just get this because it's new cases. And the thing about this genre is they're one and done. Once you know the answer, especially if you're the chiseled, if you're the one who is running the game and knows the answer, then yeah, you can't really do it again. But I can say, at least from my standpoint, I put one and done in quotes because I have redone cases from Chronicles of Crime, from Detective, a modern crime board game, and Sherlock Holmes, because if it's years since I've done a case, I'm not remembering shit. So maybe going through and like be like, oh yeah, I do kind of remember that he was weird. That'd be the best. Like I kid you not. So these, yeah, there's because now this brings up the case to 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18 to 20 cases. I have no idea if Van Ryder Games is going to keep making more content. I would absolutely love them to. I would love Van Ryder Games to just be Final Girl and Detective City of Angels. That's all. I like if that's just what their entire library. They just kept pumping because I love this genre. I imagine that these cases are difficult to write for, especially because it is competitive. So you have to have enough misdirect writing information that is gonna pull people in different directions, given the chiseled enough to do, so that if someone comes to him and questions a certain suspect, he can have, like, if you're playing a full, like, let's say a 4-player game, 3 detectives, like, and they all ask the same question, you would have enough writing to potentially give each of them a different answer, and utilize the leverage mechanic and stuff like that. So I'm a little disappointed this has 3 cases, but I understand that why there's only 3. One of the cases, I mean, and they kind of do a little bit more. It's not just, oh, here's the suspects and the items, go ask these questions. Like the one that they recommend you do, which is Blood on the Pier, that's their like tutorial one. They got a lot more creative in these cases, adding in extra actions and neutral people that have different rule sets. I think that is a nice change of pace versus just, oh, it's another whodunit. Let's kind of go through the motions and ask these questions. And they've been doing that with the other expansions, and I like that they continued it here. One of the ones that they had that I did the head-to-head mode was very like the overall theme was not what I was expecting, and as I was reading it, I was kind of like, okay, this isn't your classic Knives Out story. That's really cool, so I like that. So yeah, like I said, if you're a fan of Detective City of Angels and you have Bullets Over Hollywood and you have Smoke and Mirrors, Saints and Sinners is pretty much a duh. But at the same time, I would also say what kind of makes this expansion, and this box is empty. Like I said, I've been able to fit everything in here. It is packed. If they come out with another expansion, I do not have an alternative. I do not have a way to figure out how to store it, at least within the one box. I know they actually said, and I forgot that they mentioned this, the Smoke and Mirrors box said it was designed to hold additional cases. I don't have that box anymore because I'm like, that's stupid. I can fit everything in here. And I technically can. But yeah, eventually if you have every expansion, you're probably, especially if you sleeve cards or whatever, you're probably going to have to use this box. And you could get creative and just have this box be the tuck boxes. And just have the tuck boxes in here and like miscellaneous stuff and then fit everything else. It is doable, but I don't really like having expansion boxes if I can try and fit everything in the base. So, before I talk about the head-to-head mode, if you're interested in that, Detective Saints and Sinners, I love this game. More cases. It's still fantastic writing. It's still not head-to-head, still competitive, all of the same thing. So this is gonna get a. I mean, God, hold on. Let me look up something real quick. Detective City of Angles. Yeah, it's a 9 out of 10. Cool. Saints and Sinners is a 9 out of 10. I was just double checking that for some reason I didn't lower this. But what's also kind of interesting, and I mentioned that this was only 3 cases. And I say only because I love this game and I want more, and because they're one and done, like, oh, you solved it, move on, do another case. 20 cases is a lot. Like, most of these modern whodunit games, Chronicles of Crime and Detective Modern Crime board game, which is now weird and Portal Games has basically abandoned it and did Batman Everybody Lies and Vienna Connection. Anyway, 20 is a lot compared to those. The only one that kind of outdoes this, I'd have to check Chronicles of Crime to see how many they have overall, but Sherlock Holmes is the only one that has more, because there's 4 boxes and 10 cases in each. I think there's 10, so that's 40. But still, that's been going on for a long time. This came out in 2019, which, Jesus Christ, that was 5 years ago. They having half that amount in in not even half the time of Sherlock Holmes is extremely impressive. And those aren't even really difficulty ranked. These are. So in 20 cases, you have 4 Gumshoe, 6 Veteran, and that means you have 10 Hardboiled. And Hardboiled is just that. Like, have fun figuring out the case. They are easily the thickest boxes with the most content and the most complex writing. Although I still think Gumshoe is still good writing and still a lot of fun, and Veteran is equally the same. So even though they're harder scaled off difficulty, it doesn't mean it's like, oh, that's shit writing for the Gumshoe ones. Anyway, what I was saying about this having 3 cases, if you're the person that plays the Chiseled, meaning you're the designated group DM and you don't get to play the other side ever, what's fascinating is that because this game is competitive, if you're the Chiseled and you already know the story, you can actually do the same case just with a different group, which is cool, because unlike the cooperative version, you're not working with other people. So, like, I can't do the same case with... I mean, you can. I could do another case of Sherlock Holmes with other people. I just stay quiet. But with Detective City of Angels, because it's competitive and the Chiseled is competing to win, I could do, like, the one I did today with Cloak and Dagger. I can do that with a different group. And because I was the Chiseled, I'll be the Chiseled again, but now I'm still trying to win. Like, it's still just as fun, which makes this game even more expansive in terms of competing with those other games in the genre. So yeah, 3 cases, but still have multi-use and legs more so than some other cooperative cases that if it's like, oh yeah, we solved it together, well, can't really do it with another group unless I want to just watch them solve it and just kind of be a, we didn't go to the scene of the crime, like, you know, be that guy. Anyway, yeah, this gets a 9 out of 10. I really hope this isn't the last expansion. I think, I mean, they can just keep going. They can keep pumping it out. If they do another expansion, I would like to see more just cases in the box, but that's just kind of how it's going to go. So now, the head-to-head, which kind of gives a more justification of why I'm doing a video over this. The head-to-head mode is a game mode that is if you have 2 players. So you can, if you have 2 players, you can do sleuth mode, which is basically, hey, it's fully cooperative. We're solving it, and it kind of turns into any of these other ones I've mentioned: Detective, Chronicles, and Sherlock, which is fine because the writing again is still really good, and you get the same exact feeling, and it's still a blast. The head-to-head mode is kind of a simplified version of the classic mode. Because now you still have a Chiseled, you still have someone who is, you know, who knows the story and is competing against one other person, and they're still trying to solve the case. But a couple key differences here. One, you don't use money, so scratch is not a thing in the head-to-head, so that's all gone. You don't have to, there's nothing to bribe, because in the classic mode you bribe to kind of get info that someone else is looking for. You still get leverage on suspects and stuff, and the Chiseled still gets leverage on you, or on the detective, except now the Chiseled can only use that leverage to basically block a question. So if someone asks, I want to ask that guy about that weapon, you can, and I have a leverage on that detective, I could spend it and block the question, meaning they can't ask that specific question until the next day. The game also starts out, it's 12 days, instead of, I think it's 9, 8, or 7, going down the number of detectives, so they have full 12 days. And the biggest key differences is they don't get a solve and a final guess. They get one solve, the detective player gets one attempt to solve, and typically they should wait till just the final guess so they get the full amount of all 12 days, but they could guess early. If they are wrong, they just lose. Chiseled wins, and that's it. If they are right, they win, and the Chiseled loses. That's the head-to-head mode, and I was very curious because I was like, really, it's just one person? Because my favorite thing about being the Chiseled in City of Angels, if you have multiple detectives and some players are weaker than others at these kinds of games, the Chiseled can... I know the Chiseled's trying to win, but for me, I still kind of run as a DM. I feel it's more of a competition between them than it is with me. That's just how I personally play. But if one person's struggling and they feel like they're not getting an answer, well, the Chiseled has everything in their power to constantly give them answers. Like, oh, you want to ask this question about this person? Okay, I'm going to give you the truth every single time. I'm going to give you the best answer that lets you get more information. That person is better. He's kind of figuring things out. I'm going to make him use his resources. I'm going to make him spend his money, use his leverage, spend leverage against him because to even the playing field. So I thought that the head-to-head would kind of lose that, and it does, obviously. But if you only have another person to play this with, excuse me. If you only have one other person to play this with, and you're like, well, it's competitive, and I think it needs 3. I am very happy to say the head-to-head works very well. In fact, sometimes having to teach people and be like, oh, okay, yeah, so you have money, and money's used for these different things. You have to bribe, and now you have to compete with other people. So he got there first, so that actually removes this card because they got there, and you can't now get it. You don't have to bribe to learn to get knowledge on other stuff. It's just, oh, you got knowledge on this, you just flip it. There's no evidence removal stuff. There's no knowledge tokens. It's just because it's one other person, you just flip it. And the other thing that I personally found very fun from the head-to-head, because I mentioned that the Chiseled, I always kind of described it as a DM, but that's not the case, because in a multi-detective game, whenever they question someone, the Chiseled looks at the matrix, picks a response, slides it in an envelope, and then hands it to the person, and then they read it and document it. The Chiseled doesn't DM, really. They can kind of, artsy it up as much as they can, but they're not acting out as these characters. They're not sleuthing. They're not doing any of it. They just kind of manage the game. And I'm not underselling the Chisel. I absolutely love playing the Chisel. But what I'm saying is in the head-to-head mode, because there's no secret information that players are keeping from each other, I actually got to roleplay. I got to read out the, case briefing, and then whenever, they would ask a question, I would actually just read out their response, because it's just one other person I'm reading to. I know the answer already, so I got to act out as all these different characters. I got to play music and really ambience it up, which is only allowable in the sleuth mode because it's fully cooperative, but also in the head-to-head. And I thought that was just really fun because it's still competitive, but because I get to look at the matrix and pick a different response and read that, it gave the characters more life than just... And you don't have to do that if you're not comfortable doing that. That's perfectly fine. You can play it. You just slide it in the envelope and hand it to them. But it was just nice because I felt as the Chiseled I was a lot more involved than normally in classic mode. Now, which one do I prefer? I still prefer the classic mode out of everything because that is what sets Detective City of Angels apart from all the other ones. But it's just amazing that this game that stands on its own as a unique, competitive whodunit, but their sleuth mode is just as good as the rest of them, and the head-to-head, where it's 1v1, and you still get that competitive feel of now I'm trying to... Basically, as a Chiseled, I'm just trying to prevent you from getting the right answer. That's fun, too. And you can still curate it. If you're playing with someone that you just... the person I played this with had never played this game before. And so I helped him out. I was like, hey, why don't you check your case briefing again, you know? And we did one of the cases from here. I'm like, because like they were just getting a lot of different answers. Obviously, I'm still misdirecting, lying. They're using leverage very well. But I was like, hey, check your case briefing, because there's something in there you might have missed. And they were like, oh, I didn't go investigate the body. That's just something that this game is amazing for and allows like any type of DM to kind of do that, because I didn't care if I won. I just wanted them to solve the case because I'd want the case to be solved. So if you are hesitant on this because you might not think it works at a low player count, know that sleuth mode exists, the fully cooperative is amazing, and the head-to-head to get the feel, albeit a simpler version of the game, is also equally good. So that's my thoughts. That's my kind of re-talk about Detective City of Angels with the Saints and Sinners. 9 out of 10 expansion. But I also will say it's kind of one of those expansions that if you don't like this game, this expansion isn't fixing shit. It's more content. That's it. And I love that for these games. So, Evan, I hope you're not done. I hope there's more content for Detective City of Angels. Maybe just a big box. Maybe just some sexy-ass big box that they just really go ham and double the cases. There's 20 more, rounded out at 40 with a big, nice, organized box. And I would cry. I'd be so happy. But that's it. We'll see what they do here on out. And yeah, that's my thoughts on Detective Saints and Sinners and the head-to-head mode for Detective City of Angels. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.